On a week-long recess, with most members spending this time at home in their districts, but few are resting easy as unhappy crowds pack town hall meetings demanding answers about health care, immigration, and Trump cabinet nominees.
One of the biggest concerns continues to be Russia and its interference in our election and Russia's alleged contacts with Trump staffers that led to the forced resignation of National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Joining us is Congressman Adam Schiff of Burbank. He's the ranking member, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So where are we in the process right now in terms of Congress investigating the Russian interference?
We have two investigations going on, one in the House Intelligence Committee, one in the Senate Intelligence Committee, and we're in the very early stages, largely gathering documents, trying to sketch out what issues that we're going to investigate, who are the witnesses we'll need to bring in, is the report the intelligence community put out supported by the evidence, and I think one of the key issues we'll certainly be looking at is whether there was any kind of collusion between Russia and any U.S. persons, including people affiliated with the campaigns. So that's very much a focus of the investigation. We're going to need to get the cooperation of the FBI in order to do that work. I hope that we will. I'd also like to see, in addition to the congressional investigations, an independent commission look into this, very much like we did after 9/11.
President Trump has repeatedly denied contact between his staff and Russia. All the press conferences, he says he has no dealings there, he's not involved. Will there be a bipartisan commission to get more answers on that?
Well, I hope so. There really should be. Right now in the House, all the Democratic members have joined a call for a commission, one Republican. There are a number of Republicans in the Senate that are calling for a commission. But one thing that the president could do to prove the truth of what he's saying is to release his tax returns. Of course, he hasn't been willing to do that, and it's very hard to assess whether he has economic interest there or not without looking at those. And of course, it begs the question, why won't he release those documents? So I hope that he will. Congress actually has the power to compel the tax return to be turned over. We haven't gotten bipartisan support for that, but we're pushing for that as well.
Do you get the sense that Michael Flynn will eventually testify before a congressional committee? And what do you say to President Trump, who says, look, he didn't do anything wrong. It was in terms of speaking with the Russians. That's the normal course of business leading up to and during a transition. He is misleading the vice president and misleading the administration that was the issue for that.
Well, a couple things. Yes, I think he will testify. I certainly would like to have him come before the House Intelligence Committee, and I know the Senate feels the same way. But in terms of why is this a big deal, I think it's important for people to remember the context here. Russia interfered in the election, did so to help Donald Trump and hurt Secretary Clinton. And after that election, the president imposes sanctions on Russia for interfering in our election. And then Mike Flynn, acting on behalf of the administration, the incoming administration, has a secret talk with the Russians, which has been reported to involve signaling to the Russians, don't react to this, we'll take care of it. In other words, you interfered, helped us in the election, don't worry, we'll take care of these sanctions. That is a huge problem, to be covertly working against U.S. national security interests. Now, the lying to the vice president about it is serious. But the other point here is the president knew about that weeks earlier before he fired him. And the president was okay with that. He was okay with the fact that his national security advisor misled the vice president, and the vice president in turn misled the American people. He was okay with that as long as it wasn't public. But when it became public, he was forced to act. And that's why he's so mad at the media, because they forced him to act.
Quickly, we want to talk about the National Security Advisor, Army Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. How much will President Trump be tested by him? Because we know he's very strong opinions on the military, on Russia, and McMaster doesn't always line up with President Trump's thoughts on these topics.
I like General McMaster. I met him in Afghanistan several years ago, and I remember the meeting quite vividly because I was there to oversee some of the anti-corruption efforts, and he was leading that. And during the course of the meeting, one of the colonels made comments that were disparaging of the Afghans, suggesting that there was an innate corruption within sort of the Afghan character. And General McMaster jumped down his throat. I'd never seen a dressing down of someone in my presence by a general officer in that way. And that told me that, number one, he was going to stand up for the Afghans that were fighting side by side with us, but also that he is not shy about expressing his opinions. And when he does not agree with someone, he lets you know it. I hope will bring that same independent streak to the National Security Council and speak up when, the president's proposing a ban that's going to affect our relations with Muslim countries and be counterproductive. I hope the general will say so.
President Trump has followed through on his campaign promises to get tough on immigration. New policies announced yesterday. What do they mean on the ground, specifically as they relate to so-called dreamers? These are the kids brought over by their parents who have assimilated as Americans. What's going to happen on the ground?
Well, it's still a bit unclear. There are some signals they're going to try to carve out dreamers. At the same time, we've already seen dreamers being swept up in the raids they're already doing. And plainly, they're going to dramatically expand the number of people who are deported. And that means whether it includes the dreamers or it doesn't, the family members of dreamers are going to be deported. It may not be the parents, or it may be the aunts and uncles or the cousins, but there's no question that this is going to mean the breakup of a lot of families and a lot of heartache and a lot of hardship. It is really quite a sea change. We have gone from a focus on people who have committed violent and serious crimes, who were being deported under the Obama administration, to a much broader net that could really include, thousands and thousands of people, if not millions, whose only offense was coming here for a better life, who have committed no crime apart from coming here in violation of the immigration laws.
Once again, Congressman Adam Schiff, ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, thanks so much for being with us.
You bet. Thank you.